This is Jatoba. It's also called Brazilian cherry. And as with all kinds of woods, you can finish Jatoba using numerous types of different products. But Jatoba has such a nice natural color that it hardly needs any help at all. Like this, for example. This is just boiled linseed oil with a little bit of spray lacquer right on top. Basically, it's a clear, natural finish. But what this wood has is an open pore structure throughout the wood. So your project would really benefit from filling the grain during the finishing process. And you come up with something about like this. You get a glassy, smooth finish, and you enhance the contrast a little bit. So I'm going to show you 3 different ways to fill the grain. But first, in case you have any doubts about the benefits of filling the grain, let me show you something.
Both of these boards have a coat of sanding sealer, and then I've sanded both of them. And it's the sanding sealer dust that really helps show the open pores. You can easily tell that the board on the right has been grain filled. Filling the grain helps you get a smooth finish and lets you add some beauty to your final project.
So here's how you fill the grain. Here's the first method. This is Old Master's wood grain filler, and it has some sealer on there afterwards, and then 3 coats of lacquer. You can see how nicely the contrast comes out. So take a look.
This particular filler is very pale in color and it's oil-based, so you just tint it a bit with the regular oil stain, 2 parts filler to 1 part stain. Using a brush or a rag, you apply this in the direction of the grain, packing it into the pores, and then you just let it sit for 5 to 15 minutes. And then wipe off the excess, first going across the grain, and then lightly with the grain. It takes about 4 hours to dry, and then it'll be looking great.
Now the second sample actually doesn't have a separate wood grain filler. This is actually a Danish oil that's applied with a little bit of sandpaper at the same time. So as I sanded, it filled the grain with its own wood dust. It's really clever. Check this out.
Danish oil is really easy to apply. You use a brush or a rag and then put on a thick coat. And then using 220 grit or finer wet dry sandpaper, just sand it in. The wood dust soaks up the oil and gets packed into the pores. Add a little more oil as you need to. Then let this sit for about 30 minutes, wipe off the surface, and let it cure overnight.
Now, if you don't like oil-based products as much as you like water-based products, since oil-based is a little bit messier to clean up and you've got to deal with oily rags, what you want is something like this. Okay, this sample is filled with a product called Timbermate, which is a water-based wood filler that even is compatible with all finishes. So, this is nice stuff. Let me show you how that goes on.
Timbermate comes in numerous shades, and I chose their Jatoba color. It's like a thick putty, and to be used as a grain filler, it needs to be thinned down with a little bit of water. Mix it so it's about the consistency of ketchup. Scoop it onto your workpiece and go in a circular motion to apply it. It won't take more than about an hour to dry, and then you'll just sand it right off, leaving a really well-filled grain. I finished all of these samples with 3 coats of sanding sealer, sanding between each coat, and this also helps to get a really smooth surface. And then I just shot each one with 3 coats of spray lacquer, but a varnish works just fine too. So in the end, the 3 methods came out really quite similar. So take a look at each one and decide for yourself which one you like the best.
So these are 3 simple ways to improve a clear, natural finish on Jatoba. And I think that they all look pretty good. It's just that the major differences, though, are less in the way they look and more in the way that they were applied. So, as with all woodworking, the method you choose largely depends on your preference. So, nevertheless, hope you found this informative and helpful. See you next time.